Good morning, children. I am Mamta Sankolli and I am teaching you economics for the 10th class, and I am going to begin the chapter Sectors of the Indian Economy. Right? Here you can see here the pictures. There are two sectors which are involved. One is the producing, some are the people who are producing the goods and services. In here you can see the man is building the bricks, is right, he is making the bricks, and another man, dabba wala, he is carrying the dabbas to the other places. He is providing the services, and here you can see the woman, she is cultivating the cotton. So these are the examples, and here you can see another woman who is selling her clothes to the other woman. So one is the production sector and another one is the service sector. Now let us start seeing how these sectors of the Indian economy helps in the development of our country. Let us go in detail. There are many activities that are undertaken by directly using natural resources. Take for example the cultivation of cotton. It takes place within a crop season. For example, the growth of cotton plant, we depend mainly but not entirely on natural factors like rainfall, sunshine and climate. The product of this activity, cotton, is a natural product. Yes, this cotton, it is a natural product. We have to depend on the natural factors like rainfall, sunshine and climate, then only we can grow the cotton. In case of an activity like dairy, we are dependent on the biological process of animals and availability of fodder, etc. The product here, milk, is also a natural product. Similarly, minerals and ores are also natural products. When we produce a good by exploiting natural resources, it is an activity of the primary sector. So whatever, see here, for example, dairy products, it is a natural product. Here the biological process is undergoing where the cow gives milk, right? Like this fishery is there, it is also a biological process where the fishes we can see in the sea, and we hunt, we go for the fishing, we catch the fishes and the fishing sector grows up. Like this, these are the products which are naturally available in the nature. We are not producing it, but they are naturally available. For example, cow gives the milk. It is a biological process and it is a natural process, and the fishes that we are catching, the fishes, it is also a natural product which is available, which is present in the nature. Agriculture also, it comes under the primary sector. Why primary? This is because it forms the base for all the other products that we subsequently make. Since most of the natural products we get are from the agriculture, dairy, fishing, forestry, this sector is also called agriculture and related sector. So whatever the things you are making which is present primarily, that we are going to call it as a agricultural sector. Which is present in the nature itself, that we are going to call it as a agricultural sector or the primary sector, we can say. Next one, the secondary sector covers activities in which natural products are changed into other forms through ways of manufacturing that we associate with industrial activity. It is the next step after primary. So here you can see the second sector is the next step after the agricultural sector. So here after the primary sector, what we are doing here we are taking the products which are available from agriculture, we are going to convert it into finished goods and services. For example, sugar cane, we are converting the sugar cane into sugar, right? We are converting the chocolate powder into chocolates, right? Like this, we are converting the milk into cheese, milk into butter, milk into ghee. Like this, the products which are available from the primary sector, we are converting by applying the manufacturing process or production process, we are converting them into the finished goods and services. Right, it is the next step after the primary. The product is not produced by nature but has to be made by man, and therefore some process of manufacturing is essential. This could be in a factory, a workshop or at home. For example, using cotton fiber from the plant we can make a spin yarn and weave cloth. So like this we are doing, we are taking the cotton, we are preparing the yarn, and then we are weaving the clothes. Using sugarcane as a raw material, we make sugar or gur. We convert earth into bricks and use bricks to make the houses and buildings. So here the products which are available from the primary sector, we are using it and we are converting them into the secondary sector goods and services. For example, sugar into sugarcane, cotton into yarn or clothes. From the earth, the mud is available. From that, by using that we are preparing we are making the bricks to prepare the buildings. Since the sector gradually become associated with the different kinds of industries that came up, it is also called as industrial sector. So we are going to call it as a industrial sector because it is associated with the industries, it is associated with the production process, it is associated with the manufacturing process. So we are going to call it as a industrial sector. After primary and secondary, there is a third category of activities that falls under tertiary sector. And is different from the above two. These are the activities that help in the development of the primary and secondary sectors. These activities by themselves do not produce a good, but they are an aid or a support for the production process. For example, goods that are produced in the primary or secondary sector would need to be transported by trucks or trains and then sold in wholesale and retail shops. So here in the tertiary sector, whatever the goods and services which the goods which are produced in the secondary sector, we are going to transport the goods and services from the wholesale shop, from the manufacturer to the wholesale shop, from the wholesale shop to the retail shop, and from the retail shop it reaches to the customer. So the service provided by the wholesaler to the retailer and retailer to the customer, that we are coming under the tertiary sector. So let us see, at times it may be necessary to store these in godowns. We may also need to talk to others over telephone or send letters, communication, or borrow money from banks to help production and trade. Transport, storage, communication, banking, trade are some examples of tertiary activities, since these activities generate services rather than goods. So the tertiary sector is also called service sector. So what are the examples which are coming under the tertiary sector? That is the products, the goods and services which help in the production and trade, that they are coming under the tertiary sector. For example, transportation, storage, communication, banking and trade, these are the examples of the service sector. Now let us see, first one, primary sector. It is all the agricultural produce and the natural things which are available on the earth. Secondary sector, you are going to from the primary sector, whatever the goods and services you have got, you are going to use it in the manufacturing process, and that it is called as a secondary sector. In the tertiary sector, it is the service sector, where you are going to use the service for the production as well as for the trade, means buying and selling of goods and services. So example of primary sector are agriculture, dairy, fishing, forestry. Example of secondary sector are all the things which are coming under the industrial sector. For example, sugar, bricks, right? You can take chocolates, you can take the final product chocolates, right? Like this they come under the industrial sector. In tertiary sector, you have transport, storage, communication, banking, trade. Service sector also includes some essential services that may not directly help in the production of goods. Yes, in the service sector, there are some services which are not directly involved in the production of goods and services. Directly you are not using them, but indirectly you are taking the use of them. For example, we require teachers, doctors, and those who provide personal services such as washermen, barbers, cobblers, lawyers, and people to do administrative and accounting works. In recent times, certain new services based on information technology such as internet cafe, ATM booths, call centers, software companies, etc. have become important. So teachers, the service, the teachers are giving the service, doctors are giving the service, and personal services like washerman, barbers, cobblers, lawyers, these are all giving us the services. ATM booths, call centers, software companies, etc. are also important. They have become the part of life, and these all people are providing the service. They all come under the service sector because they are providing services to the customers. You can see in table 2.21 there are the examples of economic activities. So please work out this activity. It is very interesting. You will find more interest to work out this activity. Please read the activity and work out and bring this textbook to me for corrections. Here the activity is there. Right, let's work out examples of economic activities. You have to write just example. First one, imagine what would happen if farmers refuse to sell sugarcane to a particular sugar mill. The mill will have to shut down. This is an example of the secondary sector or industrial sector. Here cultivation, cotton cultivation is there. So which sector it comes? Tractors, pump set, electricity is there. Farmers buy many goods. Which sector does it comes? You write it. Like this third one is there. Please write the things. Which sector do they belong? Please write it and come and show me. Comparing the three sectors. The various production activities in the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors produce a variety of The various production activities in the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors produce a very large number of goods and services. Also there are the three sectors. The three sectors have a large number of people working in them to produce these goods and services. The next step therefore is to see how much goods and services are produced and how many people work in each sector. So this we have to see it, how many people are working in each sector. You have to write it down, how many people are working. Let us see, let us compare all these three sectors, that is the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. How many people are working in all these three sectors? How do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector? Let us see. With so many thousands of goods and services produced, you might think this is an impossible task. Not only would the task be enormous, you might also wonder how we can add up cars and computers and nails and furniture. It won't make sense. Yes, these are the things, these are the make-up problem. You can't compare the computer with the car, you can't compare the nails. Nails means molegalu. With the furniture, those two are the two different products. You cannot compare them. Right, let us see how to do then, how to do the comparison between these three sectors, that is the primary sector, secondary sector and the tertiary sector. How you can do? Let us see now. You are right in thinking. To get around this problem, economists suggest that the values of goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual numbers. For example, if 10,000 bags of wheat is sold at rupees 8 per kg, the value of wheat will be rupees 80,000. The value of 5,000 coconuts at rupees 10 per coconut will be 50,000. Similarly, the value of goods and services in the three sectors are then calculated and then added up. So you can see here the value of the wheat for 10,000 kgs of wheat, the value is the rupees 8 per kg. So rupees 8 means 8 into 10,000, it will become 80,000. And the coconuts value is 10 per coconut, and how much they are, the cost will be rupees 50,000. For 5,000 coconuts, the cost will be 50,000. For 80,000, the cost of wheat, 50,000 the cost of coconut. By their value, by their cost, we can compare the three sectors, that is the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Now you came to know that wheat is having more value than the coconut, because wheat is rupees 80,000 and coconut is rupees 50,000. Like that we can compare the values. Remember, there is one precaution one has to take. Not every good or service that is produced and sold needs to be counted. It makes sense only to include the final goods and services. Yes, we have to include the price of final goods and services. We cannot count the raw materials cost, we cannot count the marketing cost, we cannot take the advertisement cost. What we have to take? We have to consider only the last product, that is the final goods and services. For example, the cost of one pen is rupees 10. Don't calculate the cost of nib. Don't calculate the cost of the cost of manufacturing of that pen cap. Alright, pen cover. That don't take that cost. Total pen cost we have to take. Total pen cost we need to take. Why are only final goods and services counted in contrast to the final goods such as wheat and the wheat flour in this example are intermediate goods. Let us take for instance the cost of the manufacturing of the biscuit. So here the wheat flour cost is rupees 8 per kg and the biscuit company is charges for rupees 10 per kg. The biscuit company use the flour and things such as sugar and oil to make the flour packets of biscuits. It sells the biscuits in the market to the consumers for rupees 60. Biscuits are the final goods and services. Here to make the biscuit they are using wheat. Right, what is the cost of the wheat here? Rupees 8 per kg, and they are adding sugar, oil and everything. But the company is paying 10 rupees per kg to the farmer. So let us take the wheat cost as rupees 10 and they are adding oil and sugar, and the final product, final end is rupees 60 for 15 per packet. So from 1 kg of wheat flour they are making 15 packets of biscuits, and what is the end cost? Rupees 60. So you have to take the rupees 60. You have to consider rupees 60 only. You should not count the wheat flour cost. You should not count the oil cost. You should not count the sugar cost. What are the final goods and services? Already it includes whatever is there. You have to calculate. You have to take the final goods and services rate. Separately is therefore not correct, because then we would be counting the value of the same things a number of times. First as wheat, then as flour, and finally as biscuits. The value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the total production of the sector for that year. So the value of the final goods and services which is produced in that sector means it may be agricultural sector, it may be agricultural sector or primary sector or secondary sector or tertiary sector. Whatever the goods and services they have produced, that final value we are going to consider it, and we are going to tell it as the total production of the sector of that year. Please underline it. And the sum of the production in the three sectors gives us what is called the gross domestic product, GDP of the country. As another very important 1 mark question, what is GDP of the country? The sum of production in the three sectors gives what is called the gross domestic product of a country. Please underline it. This is very important point and they are asking it for 1 mark. It is the value of all final goods and services produced within a country during a particular year. GDP shows how big the economy is. So whatever we are paying, whatever the goods and services we have produced, the total value of all these final goods and services, it is our GDP, gross domestic product of the country. So only I tell everyone, you have to work, whether it is, don't think of salary, whether it is of 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees, you have to work, because when you work, your income increases. As your income increases, you purchase more and more goods and services. By that, the gross domestic product of our country increases. And GDP is the major weapon to measure the development of our country. So it is essential for each of us to work in order to increase the income of our country. Historical change in sectors. Generally, it has been noted from the histories of many now developed countries that at initial stages in India, the mammoth task of measuring GDP is undertaken by central government ministry. This ministry, with the help of various government departments of all Indian states and union territories, collects information relating to total volume of goods and services and their prices and then estimates the GDP. So this is very important that it considers not only the union territory, it considers not only the Indian states, it collects the information of all the states. Our government collects the information of all the states, of all the union territories, how much quantity, how much total production of goods and services that has been done in our country, and that constitutes our GDP. Historical change in the sectors. Generally, it has been noted from the histories of many now developed countries that at initial stages of development, primary sector was the most important sector of economic activity. Right, in the initial stages, you were considered that the primary sector was the most important sector in the economic activity. We were thinking that in the previous years that if we do more and more agricultural activity, we can earn income, we can our country will get developed, but it is not so. There should be equal concentration on the other sectors of the economy also, for example secondary sector and tertiary sector. There were increasing number of craft persons and traders. Buying and selling activities increased many times. Besides, there were transporters, administrators, army, etc. However, at this stage, most of the goods were natural products from the primary sector and most people were employed in this sector. Yes, this is very important to note that in the previous years, in the olden days, what we were seeing that people were involved in the primary sector only. People were concentrating on the agricultural irrigation, agriculture, in the production of the goods and services related to agricultural production. For example, growing more and more sugarcane, growing more and more cotton, growing more and more rice, wheat, like that. People were not interested more in the secondary sector or in the tertiary sector. So what happened? After over a long time, more than 100 years, it took 100 years to change the people's thinking or the people's sense that and especially because new methods of manufacturing were introduced. Because new manufacturing methods were introduced, people started thinking that now we have to concentrate on the secondary sector also. right? Factories came up and started expanding. Yes, factories slowly came up and they started expanding. Factories were more and more, they started expanding. Those people who had earlier worked on farms now began to work in factories in large numbers. Yes, the people who were working in farms, they thought that now it is the time to work in the factories also. Now it's the time to concentrate on the factories also, to work in the factories. They were forced to do so. As you read in history chapters, people began to use many more goods that were produced in factories at cheap rates. Yes, people started using they were forced, they were not made, right? They were forced to use the products which were available at cheaper rates, where in the previous periods, right? The secondary sector gradually became the most important in total production and employment. Yes, very important. You know, in industry how many people can work? Hundreds, thousands people can work. You can see the Samirwadi sugar factory, 800 people are working. In Irani sugar factory, you are seeing 1000 workers are working, 1000 laborers are working in the sugar factories. That is needed, that is essential. In agricultural sector, how many are working? In 10 acres land of land, 50 laborers, or take for example 25 to 30 laborers will be working, and that too season wise. When there is a season, there will be no more number of laborers, and when there is no season, you see very less number of laborers working in the agriculture sector. But in the secondary, you see that there is a continuous production activity, production process going on, and the laborers are getting full year employment. In the past 100 years, there has been a further shift from secondary to tertiary sector. In developed countries, the service sector has become the most important in terms of total production. Most of the working people are also employed in the service sector. This is the general pattern observed in the developed countries. So what is happening here? Here, in the past 100 years, people were working in the primary sector only. Now we are seeing that there is a shift. Now they are working in secondary sector also, as well as in the tertiary sector also. Now let us see how there is the pattern. Here you can see the graph. Please everyone concentrate. See here, tertiary sector, the graph is represented by green color, secondary sector red color, and primary sector in the blue color. Graph 1 shows the production of goods and services in 3 sectors. This is shown for 2 years, that is 1973-74 and 2013-14. We have used the data for these 2 years because the data are comparable and authentic. Authentic means they are recognized data, and you can see here people have, you can see how many people are working. In 1973-74, you can see very less number of people are working in the primary sector. In the secondary sector also very less, and tertiary sector also very less. In 1973-74, at least in the primary sector they are more, and in the secondary sector less, and in tertiary sector also less. Why is the tertiary sector becoming so important? Rising importance of tertiary sector in the production. Now you can see in 2013-14, you are seeing the graph. There is people are working more in the tertiary sector, less in the secondary sector, little less in the secondary sector, and very less in the primary sector. Now rising importance of the tertiary sector in production. Over the 40 years between 1973-74 and 2013-14, while production in all the 3 sectors has increased, it has increased the most in the tertiary sector. We can see that the production is increased more in the tertiary sector in the year 2013-14. As a result, in the year 2013-14, the tertiary sector has emerged as the largest producing sector in India, replacing the primary sector. Here you can see it has been emerged as the largest production sector in India. Here you can see it has been giving the lot of job opportunities for the people. Tertiary sector, what comes? Trade, transport, communication, storage, godowns, all this comes under the banking. all this comes under the tertiary sector. First, in any country, several services such as hospitals, educational institutions, post and telegraph services, police stations, court, village administrative offices, municipal corporation, defense, transport, banks, insurance companies, etc. are required. These can be considered as the basic services. In a developing country, the government has to take responsibility for the provision of these services. Yes, nowadays in a developed countries as well as in developing countries, hospitals, educational institutions, post telegraph services, police station, municipal corporations, these are the service sector corporations whose service has become most essential, and it has become the part of our society, part of our lifestyle. Wherever we go, we check the service first, whether it is in hospital, whether it is in hotels, whether it is in education, whether it is in the cinema theaters, entertainment sector. What you search for when you go to theaters, you see that how is the seat and all, whether it is clean or not, how are the people who are giving you the tickets, are they all good not, are they all behaving properly or not, the picture quality, HD quality is clear or not. Nowadays we are concentrating more on the services rather than the manufacturing and all production. We are concentrating on the services. So in the developing countries, we are seeing that the tertiary sector is growing up. Second, the development of agriculture and industry leads to the development of services such as transport, trade, storage and the like. Yes. Greater the development of the primary and the secondary sector, more would be the demand for such services. So when you see there will be greater development of primary sector and secondary sector, definitely there will be demand for such sectors. Third, as income levels rise, certain sections of the people start demanding many more services like eating out, tourism, shopping, private hospitals, private schools, professional training, etc. You can see this change quite sharply in cities, especially in the big cities. Yes, nowadays we are seeing that there is a lot of demand coming for the services like eating, it may be in the hospitals, shopping malls, private schools, professional training. What we are looking for? We are all looking for the good services, especially in the tertiary sector. It covers all the services. Wherever you go, what do you check out? You check out for the good service. Fourth, over the past decade or so far, certain new services such as those based on information and communication technology have become important and essential. The production of these services has been rising rapidly. Yes, information and technology. Now we cannot imagine the life without information and technology. Information and technology has become a part of our life. Without mobile we cannot survive. It has become a common thing. Now you can see during this COVID-19 crisis, it is because of the technology you are all able to get education sitting in your home. So information and technology has given lot of development for the country. Because of the information and technology, we can see lot of good machineries have come out, lot of good electronic goods and services have come out. Within the seconds we can manufacture the products, within the seconds we can stitch the clothes, within the seconds we can stitch the buttons of the shirts. It is all because of the information and technology. Where are the most of the people employed? Yes, where are most of the people working? We came to know that tertiary sector has become successful. Now let us see where these people are working, where the most of our youths are working. Graph 2. Let us go for the graph 2 here. Share of sectors in employment percentage. Graph 2 presents percentage share of 3 sectors in GDP. Please have a look at the graph. Now you can directly see the changing importance of these sectors for 40 years. Right? Why didn't the similar shift out of primary sector happen in the case of employment? It is because not enough jobs were created in the secondary and tertiary sectors. Here you can see here most share, big percentage, 71% in 1978 you are seeing 71%, 11% in the secondary sector, 18% in the primary sector. In 2017-18, 41% in the 44% in the primary sector, 25% in the secondary sector, 11% in the tertiary sector. In 1977-78 you are seeing 71% are working in the primary sector, 11% are working in the secondary sector, 18% are working in the tertiary sector. Employment opportunities in 1977-78 it was available in the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector it was very less. And in 2017-18, 44% only available in the primary sector, 25% is available in the secondary sector and 11% is available in the tertiary sector. Slowly what is happening now, they are getting the jobs are created in the secondary sector, employment opportunities are created in the secondary sector as well as the tertiary sector. Even though industrial output or the production of goods and services went up by the more than 9 times during the period, employment in the industry went up around 3 times. Here you have to note this point that even though the production is going up by 9 times, but the employment is going around the 3 times, which is the tragedy for our country. Employment should also boost up along with the production, but it is not happening. Employment is not boosting. Only what is happening, only the production of goods and services is increasing. It is increasing by 9 times. Employment is increasing only by 3 times. The same applies to the tertiary sector. In secondary sector, what is happening? Production is to employment. Production is increasing by 9 times. Employment is increasing by 3 times. 9:3 ratio is there. In tertiary sector, production is increasing by 14 times and employment is increasing only by the 5 times. So it is how much? 14:5 in the tertiary sector. So in the secondary sector, employment production is to employment, how much it is? 9:3. In tertiary sector, 14:5. You can see the ratio. Employment is not increasing, production of goods and services is increasing. As a result, more than half of the workers in the country are working in the primary sector, mainly in agriculture, producing only about 1/6 of the GDP. In contrast to this, the secondary and tertiary sectors produce the rest of the produce, whereas they employ less, about half of people. Does this mean that workers in agriculture are not producing as much as they could? What does it means? That there are more people in agriculture than is necessary. So even if you move a few people out, production will not be affected. In other words, workers in the agricultural sector are underemployed. Yes, here you can see that what is happening here is there is an underemployment happening in the agricultural sector. Take for example, in 10 acres of land, 50 workers are enough to carry out the production activity. But it is not happening. Irrigation activity, how much they need to do the irrigation? Only 50 workers. But what happens? They are employing 60 workers, 70 workers to do the work of the 50 people. So what happens? Everyone gets less payment. Because of that, there is an underemployment problem happening in our country. Children, now I have gone thoroughly with the sectors of all the Indian economy, that is the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. I have made the comparison between the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Next one is there is different types of unemployment problems which are going inside in our country, that I am going to deal you with in the next class. Thank you.